Good morning, students. Let us read chapter 3, Glimpses of the Past. Here are some pictorial glimpses, represented in the form of pictures of the history of our country from 1757 to 1857 for 100 years. These pictures and speech bubbles. Speech bubbles means you can see the bubbles within which the exact words are written or the exact speech is written. Will help clarify your understanding of the conditions that led to event known as the First War of Independence in 1857. So, here we shall read that what are the causes responsible for the emergence of the great war, that is the First War of Independence in 1857 against the Britishers. First one, the martyrs. Who are the martyrs? Martyrs are those leaders or those fellow countrymen who have sacrificed their life for our independence. And a function in Delhi. So here in this picture you can see the place is of at Delhi in a function. O my countrymen, let your eyes fill with tears as you recall the sacrifice of India's martyrs. So what is written in the bubble speech, or we can say speech bubbles, that here the person who gives the speech is trying to evoke all the Indians present at the hall, that to fill their eyes with tears and recall the sacrifices of the India's martyrs. Then number 2, the company's conquests 1757 to 1849. With its superior weapons, the British East India Company was extending its power in the 18th century India. You can see this is a map of India in 1765. Here, how the British territory is trying to extend its territory in India. The British East India Company was extending its power in 18th century India. It's because of its superior weapons. Indian princes were short-sighted, means the Indian princes were often involved themselves in quarrel, which was another reason why British East India Company was able to grab a lot of territories in India. That upstart Raja call the English merchants, they will help me to defeat. You can see the picture where the king is giving orders that he would take the help of the English merchants and they will help him to defeat the other king. That means the people had no peace due to such constant fights. The people those days in India had no peace. It's because the kings themselves involved in conflict. The rivalries helped East India Company and it could easily subdue Indian princes one by one. Subdue means defeat. So the rivalry between Indian kings helped the British to conquer, means to defeat or to subdue the Indian princes one by one. A far-seeing ruler like the brave Tipu of Mysore fought the British till he died fighting. And those who knew the real intention of the Britishers, they didn't surrender, rather they fought with the British and sacrificed their life. Thank God there is peace in the country now. No more wars and no looting by thugs. So you see that how did Indians react to this conquest? Means how did Indians react to these victories? It is God who sent the British. Our destiny is linked with it. You see the kings. What was the reaction of the kings and the common men? The king said that there is no peace in the country. There is peace in the country now. No more wars and no looting by thugs. It is God who sent the British. They said that the Britishers were sent to our country by the gods to help them. Our destiny is linked with them. Means our destiny is connected with the Britishers. The white man has killed or dethroned our kings. Some kings were not good, but after all they were of this land. Now we have become slaves of foreigners. You can see the different opinions. The opinions of the kings and the opinions of the common men. The common men were dissatisfied the way the British was trying to control and extend its power. In fact, they said that though some kings were not good, but after all they belonged to their own land, but now they would become slaves of the British. Number 3, British rule from 1765 to 1836. Religious leaders preached ideas like untouchability and child marriage. So it's a time of the religious leaders who preached, who spread the ideas that to bring an end to on social evils like untouchability, child marriage. Anyone who crosses the seas loses his religion. You can see that. So, sorry, here actually, what I want to say is that there are some religious leader who try to preach, means spread the ideas like untouchability and child marriage. They were not reformers. These were religious leaders. So religious leaders were different from reformers. Religious leaders, what they used to say, they said that anyone who crosses the sea loses his religion. They may want to make them scared, the people scared, that those who would go out of India and cross the seas, they would lose their religion. All the misery in the world is due to women. Here is another religious leader who says that the misery, the problems in the world is only because of women. It's really nonsense. The truth was that Indians had lost self-respect. The British scorned them. And here you can see the Britishers were having a chat with each other, and where they say that the natives are unworthy of trust, incapable of honesty. They said that there are some Indians who cannot be trusted. True, your honor, but I am honest. You can see that here the two Britishers are trying to have a chat with each other, where one says to the other that the Indians are untrustworthy, I mean they cannot be trusted and they are not honesty. But here, interrupting them, an Indian says that he is honest. Being merchants, the British wanted quick profits. The heavy taxes forced farmers to abandon their fields. So finally, the Britishers wanted to collect as much as wealth as possible. So the Britishers, so the the British East India Company increased the taxes of the farmers, which led the farmers to abandon their fields. When finally they gave up their fields. But your men are taking all my crop. You are still in arrears. If you don't pay next week, I will send you to jail. You see that when you can see the farmers, they are complaining, the British officials, that their men are taking all their crop or their harvests. In fact, in return, the British official is warning the farmer that if he did not pay or clear his arrears, next week he will be put behind the bars. Still, British invented other methods which gave them more profits. The goods manufactured in England should not have any import duty when brought to India. A good idea. The East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries. So the British East India Company implemented certain laws which destroyed the Indian industries, crippled the Indian industries. One such law is that those goods which are manufactured or produced in England, if they are brought to India, then they did not have to pay any import duty, means they did not have to pay any tax. Inevitably, famines followed between 1822 and 1836. 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. The British policies ruined the export, artisans, and their business. Finally, the problems of Indians increased further when there were famines, or we can say droughts, like in between 1822 and 1836, where 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. And it's the British policies that destroyed, that ruined the artisans and their business. Now, Ramon Roy is a religious reformer. It's completely different from religious leaders. 1772 to 1833. Ramon Roy, a lone man from Bengal, understood that was wrong with the country. Let us not despise ourselves, means let us not hate ourselves. Our ancient culture is great and we are capable of greater achievements. We must first reform our society. Superstitions have been ruining us, means superstitions have been destroying us. So it was Ramon Roy who wanted to bring an end to the superstitions which was prevailed in our country. He told his wife cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. He gave a brilliant example to his wife. He said that there are different colors of different colored cows, but still they give the same milk. Different teachers have different opinions of the essential of every religion, but the theme is same, that every religion worships the God. He was attracted by science and modern knowledge. Knowledge should be practical and scientific. So he was really a modernizer. He wanted to modernize India with the help of practical and scientific knowledge. He crossed the seas and went to England to see what made the British powerful, and there he told them, "We accept you as rulers, and you must accept as subjects. But you must remember the responsibility a ruler owes to his subject." So he crossed the seas and he went to English, means he went to England, and he wanted to see that what has made the British more powerful. So he told the British that Indians have accepted them, means Indians have accepted the British as rulers. So the Britishers must accept Indians as their subjects, and it is their responsibility that they should owe to their subjects, means they should work for the welfare of their subjects, means of the people. He started newspapers, but the suspicious British stopped them in 1823. In fact, he published newspapers, but the British stopped in 1823. Then Operation 1765 to 1835. But the British continued to oppress Indians. In 1818, they had passed Regulation 3. Under it, an Indian could be jailed without trial in a court. It's a very harsh policy where the British passed a law in 1818 under Regulation 3 that Indians could be jailed without trial in a court. Means Indians could be put behind the bars without any trial or without presenting them before the court. All the time, British officers in India drew big salaries and also made fortunes in private business. In fact, the British officers took salaries from the money collected from the Indians, and they made fortunes. Means they became rich and they invested their money in private business. But this money they had taken from us, means from Indians. By 1829, Britain was exporting British goods worth 7 crore rupees to India. You see that by 1829, Britain was exporting British goods with worth 7 crore rupees to India. Governor General Bentinck reported back home, "The bones of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India." The British prospered on the company's loot while Indian industries began to die. You see that Governor General Bentinck, Lord William Bentinck, he reported back home, means he reported the British authorities in England. He told them that, or he informed them that the British prospered on the company's loot while Indian industries began to die. What is it that he said that the British East India Company British East India Company was achieving success after success and getting more and more richer, while the Indian industries were getting collapsed. And you can see in this picture that the bones of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India. Means the cotton weavers were the most, or we can say, were the worst sufferers of those days. Dissatisfaction 1835 to 56. What caused dissatisfaction among Indians? Education in India was in Persian and Sanskrit. In 1835, an Englishman named Macaulay suggested a change. "We should teach the natives through the English language." I agree. So what he said, Macaulay suggested that to teach the language of English to the Indians. Those days, Indians were being taught in Persian and Sanskrit language. English education produced clerks to whom the British gave petty jobs under them. Incidentally, it also produced a new generation of the intellectuals. So those Indians who got educated in English, they worked as clerks under the British officials, and there are some also who became intellectuals. We must educate our brothers and try to improve their material conditions. For that, we must convey our grievances to the British Parliament. So those who got educated in English and some became intellectuals, so they tried to raise their voice before the Britishers, that to listen to the demands of the Indians. By 1856, the British had conquered the whole of India. They cared little about the needs of Indians. Our kings have become puppets, and we have lost our jobs and lands, and they are converting our brothers. You only talk, do something to drive them out. So you see, by 1856, sorry, by 1856, the British had conquered almost the whole of India. They cared little about the needs of Indians, whereas they didn't care for the welfare of the Indians. And the Indian kings have become the puppets with the hands of the British. And the Indians, they lost their jobs and their lands were taken back. And the Britishers were trying to convert the Hindus into Christians. And finally, the revolution, the sparks, 1855 to 57. Taxes continued to ruin the peasants. In Bengal, the Santals who had lost their lands under new land rules became desperate. In 1855, they rose in rebellion and massacred Europeans and their supporters alike. So you see what happened actually when taxes continued to destroy the peasants, the livelihood of the peasants. In Bengal, the Santals who lost their lands under the British rules, under the new land rules implemented by the British, they became angry, they revolted, and they killed the Europeans and the supporters as well in 1855. Discontent was brewing in East India Company's army too. The white soldier gets huge pay mansions to live in servants, while we get peasants and slow promotions. Here it is said that the difference between the Indian soldier and the British soldiers. The British soldiers were getting higher pay than that of the Indians, and they were living in mansions where Indian soldiers had no such provision. While we get a pittance and slow promotions, the Angrez ask us to cross the sea, which is against our religion. Who is the Topiwala to abolish our old age customs? So those days, as we know, the Indians had a custom that they believed that if they went or crossed the sea, they will lose their religion. But the Britishers asked them to do so, which the Indians did not agree to it. We must drive out the Angrez. Yes or no? So finally, what happened? And it was decided that they must drive out the Angrez, means drive the Britishers away from the Indians. Angrez here refers to the Britishers. Sepoy Mongol Pandey attacked the adjutant of his regiment and was executed. And one such soldier, Indian soldier, who went against them, who was the Mongol Pandey, who attacked one of the senior officers of the British, and he was also got killed. Thousands of other sepoys revolted. They were stripped of their uniforms. After the death of Mongol Pandey, thousands of other sepoys, they revolted and they gave off their uniforms, humiliated and put in irons, means put behind the bars. Few Englishmen had cared to understand Indian customs or the people's mind. O proud Brahmin soldiers, do you know that the grease on the bullet you have to bite is made from the fat of the cows and pigs? What? The white man has deceived us too. In fact, one of the major reasons of Great Revolt of 1857, when Indians got to know that they have to bite, that on the bullet there is a grease, and they have to bite that grease to use the bullet, and that bite is made from the fat of the cows and pigs, so which was hated equally both by Hindus and Muslims. Soon chapatis were sent from village to village to tell the people that their emperor would want their services. Similarly, lotus flowers circulated among Indian soldiers, death to the foreign. So how the means we can say that how the revolution started, means many leaders, they inspired the Indians that Indians should come forward to fight with the British, fight against the British. Yes, all my villagemen will be ready. The masses gave all the help to shelter to the patriots. So the soldiers and everybody, in fact the common men, they helped the soldiers as well. And finally, revolt of 1857. Then there was a violent outbreak at Meerut, means violent quarrel at The sepoys marched to Delhi. Long live our Emperor Bahadur Shah. The sepoys, Indian soldiers, they marched to Delhi. They went to meet Bahadur Shah Jafar to seek for its help, and the rebellion spread wider. Many landlords had lost their lands because of the British policies, and they were sore. They were also very angry. The white man's rule must end. Yes, we will help you. In fact, the farmers also they extended their help to the Indian soldiers. And then the fight for freedom in 1857. Many former rulers like Begum Hazrat Mahal of Lucknow were bitter. The white man has taken away my kingdom. In fact, our kingdom was too taken away by the British. Popular leaders like Maulvi Ahmadullah of Faizabad told the people, rise brothers rise, the Angrez is ruining our land. In fact, Muslims means everybody wanted to extend their help to the Indian soldiers to fight against the British. So they joined the officers against the foreigner. That means the Muslims as well, like Begum Hazrat Mahal and his name what is it? Maulvi Ahmadullah. They all joined the officers against the British, means revolution against the British. The people rose everywhere in Bareilly, Kanpur, Allahabad. Azimullah Khan told Tatya Tope, we should have Peshwa Nana Sahib as a leader in this war of independence. 80-year-old Kumar Singh of Bihar received a bullet in his wrist. Mother Ganga, this is my last offering to you. You see that how the leaders got martyred. Means the leaders sacrificed their lives to give us the freedom. The patriots pounced upon the British and fought pitched battles all over North India. So all over the North India there is a there was a great revolt in which many great leaders had sacrificed their lives for bringing or for achieving India's freedom. So it has been taken from Our Freedom Movement by S.D. Sawant. Thank you.